I'm not in your room.
I am now.
No, I'm not.
I am.
Not.
Get out of my room!
Tucker Carlson did an interview in the past week with a man by the name of Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia. Mind you, by the way, Tucker doing this is just him being a journalist. Meanwhile, the old declining in trust and low view count legacy media and the corrupt government officials have been, trying to slander and just straight up smear Tucker Carlson's name by saying things such as, or, being like Hillary Clinton and just saying that he's just a Putin sympathizer and a puppy dog. It's like, what? It's just straight fucking childish. Now, all Tucker has been trying to do, and he stated this too, you feel me, is basically just interview Putin to get his stance on everything with Ukraine and the whole conflict going on still, and a couple of other things, just to see why he feels the way he does and why he feels the need to be acting the way he has been. Basically, just being a journalist. Now, we'll be looking at key points in this interview and telling you guys what you need to know and what the good old, just totally reliable legacy media is not going to tell you guys. But before we go on and get into this though, cue intro. Now, if y'all have been a part of or following indie media for a decent amount of time now, you probably have come across the headline or the topic of Putin basically acting the way he has been because he said he's felt threatened by the US/NATO expanding westward onto Russia's borders. Now, keep in mind that they are also a significantly powerful nuclear power in the world, and they're just sitting there, continuously pushing right up to the borders of Russia, which is against a pact that they made with the USSR before it disbanded. Now, I do stand with innocent Ukrainian people that have suffered needlessly because of this, you feel me, and also the innocent Russians who have been dealing with the same bullshit that shouldn't be happening too. We need to keep in mind though that this is a very intricate and delicate situation that we're talking about, and we need to look at it from a broad perspective.
The fact is that you didn't make this case in public until 2 years ago, February, and in the case that you made, which I read today, you explain at great length that you felt a physical threat from the West in NATO, including potentially a nuclear threat, and that's what got you to move. Is that a fair characterization of what you said?
Russia even agreed voluntarily and proactively to the collapse of the Soviet Union and believed that this would be understood by the so-called civilized West as an invitation for cooperation and association. That is what Russia was expecting, both from the United States and the so-called collective West as a whole. There were smart people, including in Germany, Egon Bahr, a major politician of the Social Democratic Party, who insisted in his personal conversations with the Soviet leadership on the brink of the collapse of the Soviet Union that a new security system should be established in Europe. Help should be given to unify Germany, but a new system should be also established to include the United States, Canada, Russia, and other Central European countries.
Yes.
But NATO needs not to expand. Everything would be just the same as during the Cold War, only closer to Russia's borders.
Now think about if you were a nation's leader and your previous leaders before you had made a pact with an enemy nuclear power to prevent further unnecessary bloodshed, and all you had to do was basically, disband your military might, and the territory in exchange for said enemy to not encroach upon or expand even farther and closer to the borders of your country. Seems pretty simple, right? Then imagine that these adversaries of yours from these other nuclear powers said that after this pact is finalized that they would not step another inch farther to the west, closer to the borders of your country after that day, only to have those adversaries' leaders a couple of decades down the line, you feel me, continue their expansionism several times over until the point where it's right on top of your country's borderlines. Wouldn't you feel just a tad bit uncomfortable, especially, when they have a shit ton of nukes?
Into the fact that after 1991, when Russia expected that it would be welcomed into the brotherly family of civilized nations, nothing like this happened. You tricked us. I don't mean you personally when I say you. Of course, I'm talking about the United States. The promise was that NATO would not expand eastward, but it happened 5 times. There were 5 waves of expansion.
Get out of my room!
I'm not in your room.
I am now. No, I'm not. I am not.
Get out of my room!
We tolerated all that. We were trying to persuade them. We were saying, please don't. We are as bourgeois now as you are. We are market economy and there is no communist party power. Let's negotiate. Moreover, I have also said this publicly before. There was a moment when a certain rift started growing between us. Before that, Yeltsin came to the United States. Remember, he spoke in Congress and said the good words. God bless America. Everything he said were signals. Let us in.
How would that make you feel for your country? Now, by all means, I am not saying Putin is a great man or some good moral leader, you feel me? He has done things which have led to innocent lives being lost and given commands which have led to that as well too. Again, this is a very complex / intricate situation. We need to look at it carefully, not just black and white. It'll only lead to more conflicts which are going to kill more and more innocent people. Now, if a military power with a shit ton of fucking nukes kept breaking a peace deal that was made and continued expanding farther and farther until it's right on top of your borders, essentially, wouldn't you be decently concerned for your country? Especially if they did it 5+ times in a row, apparently? Hard to imagine you wouldn't be concerned about the safety of your country, right? Oh, no, it'll be just fine. It's just fine. They're just expanding land and, installing nuclear bombs potentially in a country that's right next to our border. No need for concern at all. No, not one bit. Now, let's look at another interesting part here in the interview.
At a meeting here in the Kremlin with the outgoing President Bill Clinton, right here in the next room, I said to him, I asked him, Bill, do you think if Russia asked to join NATO, do you think it would happen? Suddenly he said, it's interesting. I think so. But in the evening, when we met for dinner, he said, I've talked to my team. No, it's not possible now. You can ask him. I think he will watch our interview. He'll confirm it. I wouldn't have said anything like that if it hadn't happened.
But if he had said yes, would you have joined NATO?
If he had said yes, the process of rapprochement would have commenced, and eventually it might have happened if we had seen some sincere wish on the other side of our partners. But it didn't happen. Well, no means no. Okay.
But why do you think the West rebuffed you then? Why the hostility? Why did the end of the Cold War not fix the relationship? What motivates this from your point of view?
Just realized we weren't welcome there, that's all. Okay, fine. But let's build relations in another manner. Let's look for common ground elsewhere. Why we received such a negative response, you should ask your leaders. I can only guess why. Too big a country with its own opinion and so on.
Putin even asked to join NATO well after the USSR was disbanded, apparently, and ultimately he got denied for some reason, ironically enough. Isn't that a little ironic? Wouldn't you want a foreign adversary to join your ranks, you feel me? Especially if, you guys made peace several decades prior? Now, this next part of the interview we are going to discuss here is basically a segment which talks about Putin proposing the US and other foreign nuclear powers create a missile defense system together to basically express, the peace that they have made together. Here's apparently what happened.
The Secretary of Defense Gates former director of CIA and Secretary of State Rice came in here, in this cabinet, right here at this table. They sat on this table. Me, the foreign minister, the Russian defense minister on that side. They said to me, yes, we have thought about it. We agree. I said, thank God, great. But with some exceptions.
So twice you've described US presidents making decisions and then being undercut by their agency heads. So it sounds like you're describing a system that's not run by the people who are elected in your telling.
That's right, that's right. In the end, they just told us to get lost. I'm not going to tell you the details because I think it's incorrect. After all, it was confidential conversation. But our proposal was declined, that's a fact. It was right then when I said, look, but then we will be forced to take countermeasures. We will create such strike systems that will certainly overcome missile defense systems. The answer was, we are not doing this against you, and you do what you want, assuming that it is not against us, not against the United States. I said, okay. Very well. That's the way it went. And we created hypersonic systems with intercontinental range.
Isn't that funny? Putin has even said himself that the US isn't really ran by its president like it should be, more kind of ran by groups like the CIA. I have said this before to many people, and it's really true. When you guys look at enough of this corruption and history of the US, you kind of just start to realize after an amount of time and research that the president is essentially just a poster child, while corrupt agencies run everything from behind the scenes to benefit them plus organized crime. This is why JFK wanted to disband groups like the CIA / restrict them partially at least, and pushed for it, which is ultimately why he plus his brother Senator Bobby Kennedy Sr. were assassinated.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Thank you though.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби, у вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Maybe this is why the legacy media / corrupt governments didn't want this interview to happen. Well, who do you think blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Well, the CIA. Now, Putin goes on to explain that his logic for that belief is due to the fact of the matter that not many people or groups have the resources available to be able to go so far underneath the sea and cause explosions like that. Kind of on the money for that one there, isn't he? Like, at least he's on the money about that, if, nothing else. Now, again, I do sympathize with all innocent Ukrainians and Russians involved in this tragic conflict. It needs to be resolved peacefully, and it's, again, very complex too. It's not so black and white like the mainstream media or shitty corrupt US government might make you think. Now, it's been confirmed that a peace deal that was already, in the process of being signed and everything like that was sacked by the former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. You don't want to do that, chap. What you want is good old-fashioned war, not that ugly thing called peace. That's for bitches and pussies, and you're a man, right? Now, this actual peace agreement was already signed too, by the way, and that was confirmed by the journalist Jeffrey Sachs. He talked about it in an interview with Russell Brand, and we'll go ahead and, leave the link for that down below. There have been speculations for quite some time that somebody had gone down and basically talked Zelensky out of the whole peace agreement too, which, why would the US / NATO do that? Oh wait, it's to bolster their military might, get more funding from, the innocent civilians they're manipulating, so that way their arms dealers can grow like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, etc. And, all these corrupt politicians and people make buttloads of fucking money off of millions and hundreds of thousands of innocent people dying because of their fucking wars that they essentially, made a thing. That's enough about what I think. What do you guys think? My adoring tribe members, new viewers, fans, etc. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on the Tucker Carlson x Putin interview, and what light do you think it kind of sheds on the whole situation between Russia and Ukraine and on things going on in the world too? What kind of light does this new perspective give to you? What does your intuition and your instincts tell you? Let us know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear that shit. But that's going to be it for us today, my dudes. As usual, if you guys did enjoy, please don't forget to, hit that like button and destroy the shit out of the subscribe button. It really does mean a lot to me whenever you guys do this. And also helps us to get further up in that YouTube algorithm to let other people know it's okay to question these systems they live in and give them the truth completely raw and uncensored, giving them information that the legacy media does not want them to know about, or these corrupt governments that we have in office currently. Nonetheless though, I do appreciate you guys very much. Thank you. And if you guys did make it to this point of the video, go and leave the word whoa in the comment section below to let me know that you made it to the end and that you guys are part of the 1,000,000% tribe. If you guys want a more interactive experience with us, come join us live every Wednesday and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time on our streams here on YouTube or over on Twitch/Facebook and Rumble as well too. Play games such as Pokemon Unite, Fortnite, Apex Legends, etc. Whatever really floats the mood, and we talk about conspiracies like this, make jokes about it, share dark humor jokes as well too, and just vibe out and have a good time. As usual though, my dudes, until next time, please don't forget to keep it 1,000,000% real, and as always, fuck the system. I'll see you guys on the flip side, Z-Tribe. Yep.
The people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is America.